the new industrial education shop in Pemberton. Why don't you apply for the job? So he did, and he got the job. And so he decided to come to Pemberton. We've never seen it, never been here. So in 1964, there was no road in Pemberton. You couldn't really drive there. There was a train that came. It had a bud car. Called the bud car. So my husband, George's grandfather, drove a truck in on all the logging roads. It took him about 7 hours to come in, and we had lots of flat tires. So he arrives in Pemberton. And we arrived, and we stayed, and one of the teachers just, does anybody know where the community ball fields are now up the valley side of the bus garage? That's where the high school used to be. And it was just a small school, and it had an industrial education shop where the boys could fix cars and build cabinets and that type of thing. And so his grandfather taught people how to do woodwork and metalwork and drafting and all of that, all right? And I was also a teacher, so I used to substitute in the elementary school. There was a school up the valley, there was a school at Darcy, which is, still is at Darcy, right?
Blackwater.
Perfect.
Yeah, Blackwater Creek.
Blackwater Creek. And there was also a school just before the industrial park. You know where the industrial park is by Mount Curry?
Yeah.
And if you turned in, there's a big house, and next to the house there's what we call a duplex, a small little, an older house. That used to be the teachers for the house. There was a little school in that area, so there's a school in Mount Curry as well. So, okay, so in those days, we had a little baby, which was his father, and it was a very lonely time for a young mother to come into Pemberton. The town was small, the population was maybe around 160 people. What's the population of your school here?
400.
418.
So you can imagine 160, that's maybe a third of what you have in your school. That was the population of the whole village. Today, the village population that came in from Census Canada is about 2,546, something like that. So in the last 50 years, Pemberton has grown by about 2,000 people, because in 1990 it was about 500 people. So Pemberton is not very large, but it is growing. Okay? So when we came to Pemberton, there was a drugstore that was being started right where the existing drugstore is. You know where AG Foods is? That used to be the community hall. And that community hall ended up burning down in 1980. And there was a post office. We had no radio. We had no TV. We did have telephone. And on your telephone, you would have a whole bunch of other people that would be on the line too. It would be like a party line. So you might pick up the phone, there might be Mary down the street talking to her friends. You have to wait until she's finished, right? So you can talk on the phone. So things were a lot different then than they are now. So time went on, I had a second child. We built a drive-in restaurant. You know the piece of property over here that's got all the machinery in it?
My dad, he was like a kid, his parents, my papa, we would never see him inside in his house, in their house, because he always plays outside.
Oh, is that right?
Never watch TV, listen to radio, nothing.
No, our children didn't grow up with television. They didn't have all the little things that you've got. We had record players, right? We listened to lots of records. In fact, if you go in my basement, you'll see a whole wall of records, right? That's what we listened to. We didn't have radio.
Are you Mr. Henry's grandma that was in the women forces of the army?
That's my great grandma. She lives in Prince George.
Oh. Do you know Bob?
Bob? Last name?
Forget.
Menzel?
Gilmore?
Gilmore?
Gilmore, Bob Menzel?
Chances are she probably knows why, okay? If you remember the last name, put your hand up again, okay?
Can we show her the video?
No, no.
All right, so, and it got to the point where, I'll tell you how I got involved in politics. We built a drive-in restaurant, Mr. Henry built it, and I ran it. I had 2 little children at the time, And it was on this empty lot that you see here. We called it the M&M Drive-In. We were gonna call it Little Michael's after Mr. Henry's father. However, we had another baby, so we called her Michelle, so that's why we called it the M&M Drive-In. We operated that for 4 years, but that wasn't enough for me. There wasn't enough for the children to do in the community, so I thought, we have to have some sort of activity. So when I got asked to run for council as a councillor, I thought, okay, I'll do that because I want some activities. So I started Canada Week celebrations. And in the 1970s, in 1978, we had one whole week of celebrations every day of the week, right? There was another organization. So, and that grew, and I looked after Canada Week for 25 years. And we still have Canada Day, and now, of course, you're celebrating Canada's 150th birthday, which is really important as well. In the time that we've been here, and when I was on council, we built the airport. There wasn't anything here. Let me see, what else have we done that was old? You had a lot of the housing that took place here was built during the time. If you know where the high school is, there used to be a mill there, a sawmill there. So the whole subdivision in front of that, the village at the time bought the property and we developed those lots and we sold them. So that started to make the village grow a little bit bigger. We had more people in the village.
Do you know Bryce Rowan?
I sure do. I know his dad, and I know that whole family. In fact, probably his great-grandmother lived next door to us. The Ronans lived next door to us. And Linda Welsh, or Linda Ronan, used to babysit his dad. Okay?
But Bryce Rowan's my dad, Linda's my grandma, so Linda's dad, Bob, you know him.
Yes, I know him very well. Uncle Bob.
He's my great-grandfather.
In fact, I can remember going to see your great-grandfather, your great-grandfather, and saying, I'm so lonely, can you and your wife please come over and have dinner with us? And that's how we really got to know, and they were neighbors. Later they became neighbors of us up the hill on Stock.
Put it down.
And, my dad had, him and my dad both have a picture of the day that you guys opened the airport.
Did they? We actually, with the airport, we had lots of openings. We opened it when we finished the grass strip. We opened it when we had a gravel strip. We opened it when we had a paved airstrip. So we had all these openings. We like to have openings, and when we had
Nathan,
openings,
put the marker down.
We would have show you for everybody that came. We used to bring the school kids, bring the whole school down to the airport opening. Again, there weren't that many in the school, remember. Maybe a couple of busloads would bring the whole school down to the airport. Okay, so the population was much smaller then.
What about the teddy bear picnic?
The what?
The teddy bear picnic.
Oh, the teddy bear picnic was something that we had during Canada Day. Canada Day had lots of very different events. We had teddy bear picnic, we had inner tube races on the lake, we had canoe races from the upper valley all the way down the Lower River that ended up here at on Highway 99 just before you cross the Lower River Bridge. We had logger sports days. We had some of the things we still see during Canada, on Canada Day itself. You'll still see the women with their strawberry tea during that period of time. That's something that lasted with the Women's Institute. We always had a parade, and we had very large parades that all of the businesses would build floats. One year, the people in Darcy built a float, and they made it out of pancakes, real pancakes. They spent days making pancakes so they could make a little house on a tractor that was covered in pancakes. The roof had pancakes on it. So people spent a long time building their floats back years ago. Yes?
You know the BMX racing club here?
Yes.
They have a sort of, they have a float every year too at the parade, and you can choose if you want to ride your bike or ride on the float.
Okay, try and keep it to questions, not comments, please, okay?
Okay, what else did we have here that was not here, that was built since our time?
The supermarket.
The roads, for example.
Oh, yeah, the roads.
The roads, like in the spring, you couldn't get from downtown here, because it was so, they called it gumbo, it was muddy. Your cars would get stuck, right? So the roads have been built since then they were paved. After the roads were constructed, then we had pavement. Probably the pavement came in the mid-'80s as well, or in the early '80s, 1980s. The village had a sewer system, okay? We also Pemberton is a farming area, right? We have lots of people that farm here, and it's always been a good area for farming. And land is so good because it floods. And the flood brings nutrients and builds the soil up, right? So in 1994, and if you go on the website, the museum website, you'll see the pictures of the 1984 flood. That in 1984, the only area that didn't have water was, I'm trying to think if Signal Hill here has water, just a bit. Just the downtown area of the village, even the street that goes just before the high school, Poplar Street, the water came up almost to the end of Poplar Street, okay? This whole area, this way it was all covered in water, and it was water from mountain to mountain, all the way up the valley and all the way to Mount Prairie. Like if you flew over, all you could see was water, okay? So everybody came into the village here. The water went down, so then we had a lot of cleanup to do, right? So at that time, I had, as on council, had a connection with the military or the army in Chilliwack, because I grew up in Chilliwack. So I phoned there, and we got the army to come up here, and they helped people clean up. The school, the high school, which is where the ball fields are now, had water up to about here. The school buses, it was up to the windows on the buses. So that, yes,
Yeah.
teacher.
What? Luke's got a question, and then you can do mine, because he's been sitting patiently. Luke.
Okay.
Do you know my father, Dave Brown?
He's an accountant.
I haven't personally met him, but I know who he is.
Okay.
He's a ski jumper,
Oh,
acrobat on skis, and a taxi driver and whistler.
cool.
Awesome.
Okay, so could you tell the or not the class, what that used to be, where this school was, and the end of the school? Baseball.
At the end of the school, this was called Wellington Park. Here, this was the park. And there used to be we had, as a community, we built a little log cabin. This is where we used to have our logger sports days, right? And then, of course, they decided they wanted to build a new school and a larger school, so they sort of did away with the park. We could never understand, my husband, why they got rid of the park. And they moved the school so close to the tracks, because in my day, the school was back this way, and they were really concerned that the railway was here, and the school was too close to the railway, and yet they built the new school closer to the railway. So, but they do things differently, so.
Any other questions? Oh, I got one more thing. Who here's bought groceries at the Pemberton Valley Supermarket? Or been into the Pemberton Valley Supermarket before? Okay. Would you explain what used to be there? Because it wasn't a supermarket. I remember before it turned into a supermarket.
I forgot.
Do you want me to explain?
Sure.
Our good friends used to live in a little white house there, Brown and Rose Edwards, and before that, there was one house on that whole property.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is that house had a basement, and there was always water flowing there. It was like a creek that went through the
Right, so that creek that was always throwing through the basement, when they built the Elements building, they put in underground parking, but they didn't actually talk to any of the locals. So they had a giant river flowing through, so they had to actually halt construction for a little while to fix the problem. They didn't talk to any of the locals, they just went and dug a big hole, and then their hole filled up with water. So, yeah. But I remember being very young, and there used to be a little white house, didn't have a red roof,
Yeah.
The red roof. There was one house, the whole Pemberton Supermarket building. There was one house there, and they had cedar hedges around the edges, or green, big trees around the whole perimeter of the house. And it was this nice little house with this big piece of property, a massive yard, nice grass, and then they turned it into a supermarket with apartments on top. So when I was 2 or 3, yeah, there were apartments on top of the supermarket.
What?
Yeah, did you know
When
that?
was the first time these stores built?
What's the oldest building in Pemberton? Do you know? Or one of the oldest buildings in
The
Pemberton?
hotel was built in 1914.
Yeah. So the hotel in Pemberton is over 100 years old.
Wow. My parents went to a really old hotel. It had one of those old fashioned. It like had a circle in it, and you have to close the door, push the close door, and you push the button. Then when you're going up, you can hear something like and it just stops really fast.
Oh, an elevator.
It's like an old elevator.
Elevator in this hotel.
No.
You just have stairs. Interesting building. Do you know where the youth center is now, behind the community center? Here?
Yeah.
That little building? That was built in 1958 as a community, as a centennial building, and it was our health center. Our doctor came in once a week. Like, you had to get sick on a Wednesday or a Thursday, whenever the doctor came, right? Or wait till he came in, because they only came once a week. And then dentists would come in, a traveling dentist. And then we built the new health center over here. So then it became the community library. And it was the library until they built the existing community center and put the library as part of that. And then now they turned it into the youth center. So at least it's nice that that building has stayed as a community facility. It started as a health center, became a library, and now it's a youth center. So it's had many uses since 1958.
Oh. My mom also, she works at the Pemberton Valley Hotel.
That's the lodge. Yeah, the hotel's the one in town.
No,
Yeah. So
she used to work in the one over there.
Oh, okay. So you know who here knows where Black's Tire Shop is? Black's Hot Wheels. Yeah. Okay. So Black's Hot Wheels, that was one of the older buildings in town as well. What was it originally?
That one, you know, for sure, I
Don't know, but it.
I do know the Dayton district used to be a jail, used to be a classroom, used to be a little schoolhouse as well. But I don't know what Black's.
But it was.
That was a service station.
So it was a garage. It's been a garage for a really long time.
Service station.
Mhm.
I think you were next.
When was that library places over there?
The new community center. When was that open?
I remember when I was like a little kid. I think that wasn't there. When
No.
I came to Pemberton.
So that opened in 2008.
That's when I was born.
Yeah, so the community center was finished building in 2008. I remember because I got a gym membership there.
Oh, I
Right.
was born
So-
in 2006,
Yeah.
so I don't remember.
So
when
you would have
that
been
was.
very small, Everett. You
I
would,
wasn't- I was-
yeah.
I was only 1.
But that building that used to be, or so you know where the community center is? That used to just be gravel. And when we used to have a carnival that would come into Pemberton, and they would set up where the community center was.
I wasn't there.
Or in front of the supermarkets. It was either supermarkets or where the community center is, because it was a nice big flat piece of property.
When I first time came here, that place wasn't there when I was like little.
No, it wouldn't have been there.
I
Okay.
was like 2, I think. I was like born 2006,
Mhm.
October 12th. So I think I was like little when I first time come here, and I think I wasn't there when I was like little.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't have even been alive.
No.
Because, well, that's my birthday.
So Will's got a question?
What's the Pemberton Museum here for very long?
What is the Pemberton Museum?
Was it here for
Was
very
it
long?
here? Not when we first came. It was probably in the late 80s that it first opened up next to the
Nathan,
Rona.
Put it
There's a
down.
Park in there, that's where the Shantz building was put. and a few other, and I think there was one other building that was put there as well. They brought them in from Mount Curry, the old timber frame buildings, and then they moved them to the location that they are now, in the late 80s, early 90s. And your teacher did a lot of work on those buildings at the museum as well. So
I used to work there in the summers.
he can tell you about that.
Okay, Sam's got a question.
Just a second.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when was the skate park built and opened?
Like skate park?
The skate park.
So the skate park was actually, I can tell you a little bit about this. The skate park was an idea by some kids that I went to high school with. They were about 12, 13 years old. So about 15 years ago, they started making shirts and doing fundraising. And they took them about 10 years to raise they raised $100,000. And then the village said, if you raise so much money, I think this is what I think. If you raise so much money, we'll give you a spot and we'll help pay for the rest. And the skate park's only, I want to say it's only 5 or 6 years old. It's not that old. It's very new.
Mr. Henry, Belmont one was scooters and all that sports came up idea.
How long have they been around? I have no idea. That's a really good question,
You
though.
know what's really interesting when you look at, you've got a skateboard park,
Sam.
you've got a BMX track, you've got a motocross track, and you have a speedway, and you have a golf course. All 5 of those things were built by volunteers who got out and physically built those facilities, raised money, and some of them now maybe get some tax dollars, levy grants, but that's pretty amazing in a small community to have 5 facilities like that that were built by volunteers.